make some improvements in your business to really start seeing some changes and increase sales. But this video, we're really going to dive into, how you work the leads, right? How many times do you call them? When should you call them? What's the process like? Once you're able to capture the lead and distribute the lead, you now need to follow up on the leads, all right? We're still talking about before you ever get the customer on the phone. So lead follow-up is all about getting the customer on the phone to give you an opportunity to give them an estimate, to give them your sales pitch, to read off your script, to use your objections and your rebuttals to be able to book more deals, right? You need to first get them on the phone. So we're talking more about website requests for estimates and third-party lead provider leads, all right? Working the leads. This is crucial. I mean, without a process for doing this, without, a system in place of saying to your sales team, this is how we handle lead follow-up, you're really counting on each individual rep to do it how they see fit, right? And, sometimes you might have sales consultants that are overly aggressive and just, I've had it where they just sit and call back, like back to back, right? Where until the customer picks up the phone. They'll call 5 times in a row. That's not what you want to do, right? That's bothering the customer. That's annoying. That's harassing, all right? But that's what someone will do if they're overly aggressive. But on the other side, which is more of the moving consultants will, call once, they don't answer, maybe they'll call back, and then maybe that's the end of it, right? And that's not enough. So again, if you leave it up to them, you're going to essentially have it, all over the board. So what I'm sharing with you is what I've found to be the optimal way of handling lead follow-up, to where if you implement this with every single moving consultant, you're going to see amazing results with this, all right? So, it's just looking at it in a way where, it's not, we're going to get to booking jobs. We're going to get to what to say to them. We're going to get to, once you give them an estimate, what do you say to close the deal, right? What do you say if they aren't ready to book and they need to speak to their husband, or they need to speak to their wife, or they want to get a few other quotes? What do you say to overcome those objections to be able to get them to close and book with you right then and there? We're going to get to all that. But you first need to get them on the phone. And as you know, when you're buying moving leads, it's competitive, right? You're not the only one that is getting that lead. Even if they come to your website, even if they come directly to your website, they've gone to other websites as well, all right? Everybody wants more than one quote. So you need to make sure that you're on top of it. This is huge. So, just starting to look at lead management as a whole, as part of your moving sales machine and part of your sales department, is something that, you should really start to, just embrace. That lead management is a huge part of it, all right? And when it comes to lead follow-up, we're going to talk about calling the customer more than once. We're going to talk about contacting them in more than one way. And, it's very easy to be, a little worried about that, and to feel like you may be bothering them, and you don't want to, be intrusive, and, you don't want to be a pest. And, these are some of the same concerns and worries I had when, I told you the story earlier about, I had a friend come in that ran call centers to take a look at my office. And when he came in and he saw that we weren't getting any of their information, essentially we weren't lead capturing, right? He said, how are you doing follow-up? And I said, well, we're not. If we don't book them on the first call, that's it. And after that, that was a real eye-opener for me. I took lead follow-up very seriously. As a matter of fact, all of lead management started to become a major building block for, developing my business. Well, with lead follow-up, you may, as we get into it, you may feel that it's a little, you're spending too much time trying to get a customer on the phone, or you're working a lead too hard, or maybe this is not hard enough for you, and maybe you're one of those people that calls them 5 times in a row until you get them on the phone. the idea is that you just have to accept the fact that a customer actually appreciates good follow-up. You know, they appreciate a diligent effort to help them get what it is they're looking for. They requested a quote. They requested an estimate from your company, right? And you're just trying to give them what they wanted, right? So if it takes a few times to call them and email them and send them messages to get them on the phone, then that's what it takes, all right? And you know what? Some people may act annoyed, but that's them. That's their issue. They might act annoyed with anyone and everyone who ever calls them. So you just have to kind of take a look at it differently. I just feel that if you're going to really increase sales, you have to accept the fact that, you know, diligent follow-up is key, all right? And you're not harassing anybody. You're not calling anybody more than you should be. What I'm going to go over here is the perfect balance of how to do that. You know, I've tried it more. I've tried it less. And this is really, you know, after years and years of testing different ways of doing it, different lead follow-up, these are the methods that, you know, I find work the best, right? So let's go through it, but just understand you have to start looking at it and accepting that lead follow-up, if you haven't been, is something that needs to be a part of your regimen, something that's part of, you know, what you look at in your company. And remember, this is only before you get them on the phone, all right? So let's actually talk about it, because you know, you want to work leads to get higher conversion. That's what it's all about, right? When you buy leads, when you pay for marketing, you're spending that money. But when it comes in and you're actually able to book more of those, you know, your marketing spend goes down because you're getting more bang for your buck. I mean, that's what you want. So you want to convert more leads. So let's talk about the 10 steps to convert leads at a higher conversion. All right, so number one, you want to call new leads within 5 minutes. This is ideal. You know, this is ideal. This is the number where you want to be. All right. This is going to dramatically increase your first call contact. All right. Because understand, when you receive a lead, all right, most times it comes in real time, whether it's from your website, whether it's from a lead provider. As soon as that customer on the other end, you know, imagine them sitting at their house or at work or at a bus stop or wherever, on their phone, wherever they could possibly be, online getting a quote, right? They're there and they put their information in, or they're on the computer and they put their information in and they hit get estimate. You pretty much get that in real time. If you're able to call them within 5 minutes while their mind is still focused on getting an estimate, your first call contact and booking ratio is going to be through the roof, okay? Because you're getting them at a point where that's what they're focused on. You know, like right now I'm focused on shooting this video with you, right? I'm focused on teaching you this. If my phone rang right now from a request that I put in, you know, 2 hours ago, I'm busy. I moved on to something else, right? It's the same thing with the customers. You know, they're working on getting an estimate. You need to kind of meet them where they are as soon as possible, all right? So that should be the goal, is to call every new lead within 5 minutes, all right? You're gonna be the first company they speak to, you know? Not a lot of companies are calling within 5 minutes, all right? There are some that are doing it. All right, there are some companies that have automatic dialers that are calling immediately, all right, but most are not. So if you make that a practice to call within the first 5 minutes, if you make that the target, if your sales team knows like, hey, that's the goal, like there's no reason we shouldn't be calling in the first 5 minutes if you're off the phone and you're available and a new lead comes in, you should take that lead and call it within 5 minutes, okay? And it shows the customer you're prompt. You know, they're very impressed. When you get them on the phone right away, they're so impressed. They're like, wow, I just hit submit and you're calling me. And they'll say that to you. I mean, I'm sure you've called back leads right away, right? I'm sure you've done it. If you're not doing it consistently, that's what we're talking about here. But I'm sure you've called them back right away and they'll tell you, wow, you're so prompt. You called me back right away. They appreciate that. It shows that your company's on top of things. They wanted a request, they wanted a quote, they wanted an estimate, and you got them on the phone right away and gave it to them. You're going to book more moves, all right? I mean, that's the last reason you're going to want to call them within 5 minutes, period. So, number two, always use the CMET method on every lead, all right? So what is the CMET method? All right, so this is something that I came up with in my call centers that is huge, all right? So what that means is the C stands for call, all right? So that means on every single time that you get a lead, you're gonna wanna call them, obviously. That's the first thing you're gonna wanna do is get them on the phone. If they don't answer, you're gonna wanna leave them a message, all right? You're gonna wanna leave them a voicemail every time, all right? We're gonna talk about how many times in a minute, but every time that you contact somebody, all right, you're gonna wanna call them, you're gonna wanna leave them a message if they don't answer. And if they don't answer, you're also gonna wanna send them an email, all right? So again, if they answer the phone, this isn't necessary. But if they don't answer the phone, you're gonna leave a message, voicemail, you're gonna send an email, and if you have permission, you're gonna send a text, all right? So what does that mean, permission? You know, you're gonna wanna look into TCPA compliance. So only if you have permission and a disclosure on your website are you gonna be able to do that, all right? So a disclosure on your website is something along the lines of this. By clicking below, I hereby consent to receive a call automatically dialed or receive an SMS from or on behalf of Moving Mastery at the phone number provided above. I understand that consent is not a condition of purchase, right? So that's essentially an example of TCPA compliance. I'm gonna go back to the last slide in a second. But I'm not a lawyer. So, you know, definitely get legal advice before sending text to customers, because this is something that, let's see, let's get you where you gotta be here. There we go, perfect. So texting without permission, you know, there's laws against that, right, to protect the consumer, all right? So check with lead providers, ask them if they're getting consent from the customer and if you're allowed to text their leads. Most of them are getting the consent, and then on your website, you're gonna wanna put some language on there as well. We just looked at that. I'm also gonna put it in the worksheets below, but definitely check, you know, check with the lawyer, make sure that you can do it legally. But back to CMET. Now that I've given you that legal disclosure, let's talk about CMET. CMET, call if they don't answer, leave them a message, okay? Send them an email and send them a text, all right? You wanna touch people where they are, right? Some people don't answer the phone throughout the day. They just, if they don't know a number, they don't answer it. That's just their thing. They'll wait till they get a message, see who it is, and then call it back. Some people are on their emails all day. They're at their desk and are like, ooh, new email, ooh, new email, ooh, new email. And they're like excited every time an email comes in like it's a, you know, present. So you can get them that way. And other people, text is a very convenient way because, you know, they'll get the text and they're gonna look at it, right? They're gonna look at it and they'll see, oh, okay, this is, you know, so-and-so moving company trying to reach out to me, and they're gonna get back to you, okay? So every time when we talk about contacting, coming up, we're talking about how many times to contact them, CMET every time. You're gonna wanna remember this because we're gonna talk about CMET a lot. It's call, message, email, text, all right? So there's the disclosure again. Again, I'm not a lawyer, get legal advice. How do I work leads for higher conversion, all right? So implement the 2+1 or the 3+2+1 contact method. So it's either a 2-1 or a 3-2-1, all right? That's how I call it. So what is that? So the 2+1 is the minimum, all right? These are contacts. These are how many times you're gonna contact the customer, how many times you are going to CMET the customer, right? Call, message, email, text, right? 2+1 is the minimum, all right? So if you don't have a system in place for how you follow up with each lead, meaning as you distribute leads to each moving consultant, how many times should they be calling that lead before they leave it alone? The minimum is 2+1. So that means day one, okay? Day one, they're gonna call 2 times, all right? Ideally, 5 minutes, you know, within 5 minutes of the lead coming in, and then they're gonna call another time, you know, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours later, okay, depending on the time of day. But you're going to want to call twice in the first day, and both of these times, CMET. If they don't answer the phone, you're going to call, they're not going to answer, you leave a message, you're going to email them, and you're going to text, okay, if you have permission. Day 2, you're going to call one time. If they don't answer, you're going to leave a message, you're going to email, you're going to text. All right, so that means at a minimum, every lead you called 3 times. You left 3 voicemails. You sent 3 emails that you sent. When I say you, the moving consultant, whoever's working the lead, they sent it. Okay, we're going to talk about email automation and automatic emails that are coming out that no one's personally sending. But they're going to send these emails, and these should be canned emails, by the way, just to keep it, moving quickly. And that's it, right? So, this may seem like a lot, or this may seem like not enough to you, all right, depending on what your current method is. But what I can tell you is this is consistent, all right? It's better to have a consistent method than one day you're calling leads, 4 times and then your follow-up falls off completely. Or one rep's calling 4 times and another rep's not calling at all. You need to have consistency, and this is a great place to start. If you're not already, implementing a system and saying, all right, here's what we're gonna do. And you say, this is what you say to your moving consultants. Did you do your 2+1s? Making sure you're doing your 2+1s. I mean, that was it. That was the buzz in my office, 2+1s, 2+1s, right? And then what you can do, if you want to be more aggressive, is you can do a 3-2-1. All right, so a 3-2-1 is basically day 1, you're going to call them 3 times. All right, listen, they requested a moving estimate. You didn't get them on the phone the first time. You're just trying to be diligent to get them on the phone to give them what they wanted, which is the moving estimate. All right, so you're actually going to call, and if they don't answer, you're going to leave a message, you're going to email, and you're going to text each time. Okay, day 2, 2 times. Same thing, CMET, call, message, email, text, 2 times on day 2, which is the following day. And then you're going to extend it out 1 more day. All right, so day 3, you're going to try them 1 more time, right? So at this point, all right, with the 3-2-1, you basically have 6 contacts. So you've called them 6 times, you've left 6 voicemails, you've emailed them 6 times, and you've texted them 6 times. If they don't call you back at this point, it's done. There's no point. The same thing with 2+1. You have to decide what works for you. All right. So when I say this is a minimum and this is aggressive, I think 2+1 is sufficient. All right. If you're calling somebody twice the day that they request information and also contacting them through voicemail, email, and text, and then follow up with them again the next day, you need to move on. Unless you're going to go with the more aggressive approach of the 3-2-1, all right? But the idea is that, we're going to get into estimate follow-up, all right? And we're going to get in, basically taking the people that you've already given an estimate, the people that you've already talked to and built rapport with and spent time on the phone with, and following up with them to close those deals. You should be spending more time there and less time chasing down leads that you don't really know if it's a live person or not, right? I mean, you get bad leads, it's part of it, right? Who knows if they're ever going to answer the phone? So you have to have a system in place where you say, you know what, I feel good that I did a 2+1, all right? That they have, 3 missed calls from me, 3 voicemails from me, 3 emails from me, and 3 text messages from me. I don't know what else to do at this point, right? Same thing here, 6. This is pretty much doubling this, all right? So this is aggressive. Now, you could fluctuate between these two, all right, depending on the time of year and your lead flow, all right? If you have a ton of new leads coming in, don't go to a 3-2-1 because you need to get to all the leads. So don't do 3-2-1 on some leads and then not follow up on other leads. You need to have a system that works across the board for consistency. When we start talking about sales management and how to manage all of this, right? This might seem like a lot right now. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to manage all this? How am I going to make sure everybody's doing it? We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about how to, make sure that your team is doing all the new things that are implemented and basically running the system, running your moving sales machine. But you have to have some consistency. So, number 3, implement either a 2-1 or a 3-2-1 using CMET, all right, which is call, message, email, text. Always leave a great message, all right? Do not call somebody, not leave a message. I've had, sales managers that have come and gone, or sales reps that are like, no, if you leave no, you have to leave a message, all right? Don't call, not leave a message, and turn around and call back in 10 minutes. You're not a debt collector, you're a moving company. You're trying to give them what they wanted, right? And you have to leave a great message. This was something that was so big in my company that we trained on, that we enforced, that we did enhancement training on, which we're going to talk about in later weeks. But leaving a great message basically consists of a few points, okay? Who you are, where you're calling from, the name of your company, so your name of your company, why you're calling. I'm calling in regards to your request for a moving estimate. The benefit of calling you back, all right? What's the benefit of calling you back? How they can reach you. Always say the phone number twice. Say it slow, say it clear, and say it twice. All right? And when I'm saying this to you, I'm saying this to you. If you are the one doing all the sales, I'm saying it to you. If you're the one that has a team of 10 sales consultants, this is what you need to be telling them. What I'm saying right now, you need to make sure that they're doing. All right? Who you are again. All right? So you already told them who you are. Say your name again. Say where you're calling from again. And always have a pleasant ending. All right? This is so important. So it's so important. I want to give you an example. All right? Hello, my name's Lewis. I'm calling from Moving Mastery in regards to your recent request to receive a moving estimate for your upcoming move. We will be more than happy to provide you with a fast, free, and accurate moving estimate with absolutely no obligation. Please give us a call back at your earliest convenience. The number here is 123-456-7899. Again, the number here is 123-456-7899. My name is Lewis. Thank you very much for contacting Moving Mastery. We look forward to speaking with you soon. Every single time, this is the message. I'm going to put this in the downloads. Use this as your script. Okay, the same way that we're going to get into sales scripts, you need to have a voicemail script, okay? And this is how they need to be leaving it. The worst thing you want to do is just, leave a message that's short. Hey, this is John. I'm calling from so-and-so moving company. Give me a call back. My number here is 5. No. You know why? Because if you are receiving a moving estimate or a request for a moving estimate from a moving lead, they're also getting other calls, right? And if they go through their voicemail and they have 5 voicemails and they listen to yours and they can't quite understand it, or they didn't catch the phone number because maybe their phone broke up or your phone broke up or whatever, you think they're gonna investigate it when they have 4 other people that left a message that they can understand and they know what it is? So, leaving it clear, leaving the phone number twice, this is so important, right? So make sure your team's doing this. Use canned emails, all right? So we talked about CMET, right? So you're going to call. If they don't answer, you're going to leave a message and you're going to send emails, all right? So you're definitely, you're going to send emails like, do I have the right number, right? That's the subject. Right? Because you called, you left a message, right? Because they just requested a quote. Ideally within 5 minutes, you're calling them back, all right? And if it's not 5 minutes, we're going to talk about that. Don't think that you have to call every single lead within 5 minutes, but you have to have something to shoot for, and that's what you're shooting for, all right? Or I have your estimate ready, just have a few questions. You're giving them a reason to call back. Pretty much, the estimate's easy. You do need a few questions answered. You need to find out their whole inventory and a few other things, but you want to give an email that's going to get them to call you back. And these should all be preloaded in your system. If you don't have a software that has the ability to have canned emails where it'll address the email to the customer's name based on the lead, right? If the lead was from me, it would say Lewis, and then it would, the rest of the email would be the same, and then it would sign off from the rep. That's a canned email. So if you don't have that, or if you're not using a software to manage your leads, I'm going to put some resources in the notes. Inventory request, right? That's like another email. I just need to know what you're moving so that I could give you an accurate estimate, all right? That will a lot of times get a good response because they're like, all right, all he needs is this. I don't really need to talk to him yet. Let me just tell him what I'm moving, all right? And it might not be an accurate, it most likely is not an accurate inventory request if they send it back to you in an email, but it starts the dialogue, okay? And you basically at that point can then get them on the phone. Guaranteed move price, need some information. Again, these are subjects of emails that you would send, right? I can give you a guaranteed price, I just need some information, right? It's a way to get them on the phone. Move discount, we're running a special, right? If you're running specials and they see move discount in their inbox, we're running a special, they're gonna open that, right? Not like, hello, we're so-and-so moving in storage, let me tell you about us, right? What's the benefit for them, right? What's in it for them? If you're running a special, that's huge, right? Make sure you have that in an email. Do you still need movers, right? So remember, you're gonna take stuff like this and you're gonna spread it out because whether you're doing a 2+1 or a 3-2-1, do you still need movers would be something, on the last day, right? So like day 2 on a 2+1 or day 3 on a 3-2-1 is when you would send them, do you still need movers, right? You got to have minimum outbound calls and talk times, all right? This is huge, all right? For every rep, you need to make sure it keeps them accountable. So, how many calls are you requiring each rep, each moving consultant to make every day, right? How many leads should they be calling? What kind of talk time should they have, right? This is so, so important. You have to determine that to be able to make sure that they're doing their job. Just because they're booking moves or just because they're sitting at their desk for 8 hours doesn't mean they're doing their job. Them making calls and them being on the phone, trackable talk time, is doing their job. Outbound dials to leads and estimate follow-up. So this includes everything, right? This is all their calls for the day. And then their talk times are going to include basically their inbound and their outbound calls. So like their total talk time for the day. So, you'll need reporting from your phone provider to be pulled daily. So, if you're using like a software-based phone system, this should be something that you could easily pull as a report. If you're not, talk to your phone provider or your phone guy, let them know, hey, listen, I need to know how many outbound calls that each moving consultant's making, and then I also need to know their total talk times, all right? It may take a little bit of work if you're using an older system, but they should be able to get your report on that. So, what do I suggest? We could talk about minimum talk times and we could talk about dials all day long, but this is what mine was for years, all right? And this is what I still suggest. 75 outbound calls a day per moving consultant, or, not and, or 4 hours of talk time, all right? So basically, there'll be days where maybe they have 80 calls, but they only have 2 hours of talk time. That means they made a lot of attempts to call leads, but nobody was answering the phone, all right? They couldn't get anybody on the phone. It happens. There are those types of days. There'll be days where maybe they only have 60 outbound calls, but they have 4.5 hours of talk time, which means, you know what? They didn't have to call as many leads, but they got people on the phone and they were spending their time giving estimates, closing deals, booking jobs, all right? So every single day, reps need to either make moving consultants. When I say reps, I mean moving consultants, either way. 75 outbound dials or 4 hours of talk time every day. Now you can make it more, you can make it less. This is my number. This is what I found to be just right, but you need to pick something, all right? And that's how you need to gauge, are they doing their job every day, all right? Call hot leads first, then the newest received, all right? So this is basically where we talk about which leads to call first. Now, if you're doing it in real time and leads come in and you're calling them within 5 minutes, that's ideal, right? But if you come in on a Monday morning and there's a ton of leads sitting in the system, right, that came in, you know, if you're not open on Sundays or they came in overnight, you know, and you have those leads, which ones do you call first, right? Because that's really important. So the first ones you're going to want to call are your hot leads, like the ones that you know, like I'm paying a lot for these and they convert really, really well, all right? Then second, you're going to call your 15-minute window of opportunity leads. So once, you know, your goal is to get them within 5 minutes, all right? But those 5-minute leads, calling somebody within 5 minutes of them requesting an estimate, they fall into what I call the 15-minute window of opportunity. Remember we talked about, you know, as they submit, as they put their information in and hit get estimate online and you get that, you know, information, you only have a certain amount of time, and I believe it to be 15 minutes, all right, window of opportunity before they're on to something else, all right? Now, they might be on to something else on their computer and still be sitting by the phone. That's possible. But within 15 minutes, like if you call them back an hour later, they might be at soccer practice with the kids. They might be, you're dealing with everybody in the general public. You know, the guy might be a professor and he's teaching a class somewhere. I mean, you don't know what people are doing. They may have went to bed or take a nap or, you don't know what people are doing with the rest of their day, right? Every time you call a lead, you don't know where they are, what they're doing, what they have going on around them, what distractions they have. You really want to get them when they're not distracted, when they're focused on getting a moving estimate, and when that is when they said, hey, I'm going to go online right now and I'm going to get a moving estimate, right? So as the lead comes in, you have a 15-minute window of opportunity. So you call the hot leads first, then move to the 15-minute. So if they came in within the last 15 minutes, then move to those. Then the leads that were received most recently, all right? So we'll use Monday mornings as an example. So a lot of times, you know, companies will want to say, oh, well, you know, this lead came in Saturday night, we're closed Sunday, I have to call them back. They've been waiting the longest, right? So Monday morning, I have to call them back. Well, you know, that's a good way of looking at it. If you're doing that now, I can understand why you would, think that. But if you had a lead that just came in this morning, right? You're more responsive to that lead. Like that lead that came in, a day and a half ago, they're already like, all right, these guys aren't calling me back right away. You've already you haven't been responsive with them, which, isn't always your fault. I mean, if a lead comes in Saturday night and you're not open Sunday and you come in Monday morning, I mean, it is what it is. And that's why we're going through this, so you could decide which ones to call first. Call the ones that came in most recently. I would even call the ones that came in Sunday night, right? So you kind of work your way back, right? That's what you do. You go hot leads, 15-minute window of opportunity leads, the leads that came in most recent, and then you work your way back, all right? As you're doing that, you want to make sure that you mind the time that the lead was received, all right? This is important because as you work your way back, you may come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. A lead may have come in at 3 a.m. Well, what's the chance that the lead that came in at 3 a.m., whoever's online at 3 a.m. getting moving estimates, that they're awake at 8 a.m., right? So mind the time. Just, pay attention to that. There's no rule of thumb per se, but, if something came in at an odd hour, you might want to, wait till, 10 o'clock to call that lead, right? It just might be more effective. Number 8, deal with bad lead credits once a week, right? So if you're getting bad leads and you're requesting credits from lead providers, definitely do not stop what you're doing. Do not have your reps stop what they're doing to request a credit. I know it could be efficient to say, oh, this is a bad lead, let me go request a credit right now. And if you're not requesting credits for bad leads, talk to the lead providers that you're getting leads from, find out what their lead credit policy is. And I recommend marking them, making notes and tagging them in your CRM, and then dealing with it later, right? Have one person every week pull the list of all the bad leads and request credits, all right? You definitely don't want to stop what you're doing to do that. You must have a lead ownership policy, all right? This is so important. This is something that, as you create a competitive environment with sales, and as you have, multiple sales reps that have an open bucket and they're able to go in and take leads, and sometimes a customer might call back and there's another rep that answers the phone, and the rep that originally estimated them is not there today. There's going to be a lot of leads that kind of pass hands, and you have to have a lead ownership policy, basically to keep the peace amongst the sales team. There has to be something that's just unbiased. This is, if a lead comes in and you quote it, but this person actually books it, that type of thing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add to the notes my lead ownership policy in the downloads, so you can see what I'm talking about. But you have to have something to where you can say, hey guys, here's the policy. This is what it is. I'm going to be very fair and I'm going to be very unbiased, okay? You want to, make sure you create an unbiased environment to where reps don't feel like you're choosing sides or picking favorites. It's so important that they know, how you're going to treat certain leads, and what happens if one rep quotes them but the other rep books them, that type of thing. Or if somebody's out and they take the lead, download the worksheets and take a look at the lead ownership policy. This will also protect you against labor disputes. Somebody gets upset because somebody took a big job from them that they thought was theirs, and they quit, and they're like, oh, I'm going to sue this company. They owe me all this money. That was my $8,000 job. I should have gotten the commission for it. If you have a lead ownership policy that everybody's signed, and you could show, no, this is what happened, it will protect you from that as well. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just giving you my experience. Allows a dispute to be settled quickly so everyone can focus on booking more moves. It happens, people get upset. Right? Somebody takes a job, they were working a lead, and all of a sudden someone else, they're out a day, and the customer calls back, and this moving consultant books it for them. And now, based on the policy, right, you create your own policy, but now they have to split the commission. All right? They could be very upset. They could feel like it was theirs, that was mine, and their head's out of the game. And that's the last thing you want when you have people working the phones and people in sales. You don't want them disgruntled and pissed off and worried about it, and they're spending the whole day looking at the call log and looking at the notes like, this was my job, I was supposed to get it all. If you have a lead ownership policy, you break out the policy, you say, look, here's what happened, here's how we're handling it, this is how it is, and everybody gets it and they understand because it's fair. Number 10, pause lead sources when you're backed up, all right? If you get to a point where you are not able to get to all the leads you have, all right, don't be afraid to pause them, all right? Because more is not always better, right? Just because you're getting a ton of leads doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get to all of them. Remember, you have to follow up with them properly in order to maximize the booking percentage, all right? So, you need time for working the leads and estimate follow-ups. I mentioned this before. Estimate follow-ups are more important than calling leads, okay? Calling leads are really important. Don't misunderstand me. But you can't give estimates and then be so busy with new leads that you don't have time to follow up on the estimates that you've given, all right? So, if you get backed up, you could always pause them. After a week of being backed up, pause some lead sources. So like if you have a day where you're backed up, which typically, happens on a Monday because you come in and you have leads from the weekend, and Monday is just a busy day in general because people wake up and they're like, I got to get stuff done today. Everybody's got their big to-do list on Monday, and a lot of times it's find movers, right? So, I don't mean if you get backed up in a day, but if you're like going into a week and it's like we just can't catch up on these leads, take some of your lower converting lead sources or even pay-per-click. Those are easy places to get backups. Turn them off, and you could always turn them back on when you're ready. All right. So, don't cancel if you have a contract with, Yelp or, somebody for like a year, don't cancel that. But like lead sources or pay-per-click or stuff that you could just pause and then turn back on when you either hire more sales reps or, you're able to resolve the problem that, got you backed up in the first place. Don't be afraid to do that. Lead providers, pay-per-click, those are great places to pause. So lead follow-up, working the leads. I mean, this is something, I can't stress this enough. I mean, I'll give you two examples, okay? I was working with a company that had multiple locations, all right? They were already doing a really, really good job. I mean, they were doing a good job for their customers. They were making a great profit. They had a really nice business going. But I found out that they weren't really doing good lead follow-up. I said, what's the lead follow-up policy? Well, I don't know, because I was talking to the owner of the business. I don't really know. It's kind of, we just assign the leads and, they follow up however they want to follow up. I said, okay, well, let's start implementing this. Basically, I've taught them all of, the stuff that we've gone over and we're going to continue to go over. But, implementing the lead follow-up and following those 10 steps, right? And he went with the 2+1, not even the 3-2-1, but he did the 2+1 CMET and wasn't even text messaging customers, right? Just had a consistent call, message, email twice in the first day, one time the second day, and it was like magic. I mean, really, it was all of a sudden he's like, wow, like we're booking more work. There's more consistency. I have a sense of control over what's going on, because that's really another thing, which is, when you don't know how many, there's nothing worse. I don't know if you've experienced it, but I have, where you don't know all the marketing dollars that you're spending if they're really, making an effort, right? They're really calling as many times as they should. So when you have a system in place, you feel a sense of control over it. And that's a nice feeling to have as a business owner. Another example was a student of mine who, it was him and his wife, right? They had a small operation, 2 trucks, and they were like making a living, right? That was it. It was kind of as a last resort. He came to me, I started working with him, and he was ready to shut his business down. I mean, he was just felt like, all the responsibility and all the, liability and all the hours that I'm putting in, it just doesn't seem to be worth it. And lead management was something that we put in place right away. I mean, he wasn't using a software, recommended him to a software that was a very low monthly cost. And we put this in place, and between him and his wife booking the moves alone, it was like all of a sudden he was reinvigorated. Their moves were up, and now he's like doing great. I mean, he's moved on to the rest of what we're going to talk about. And, this stuff is important. It's the foundation of what we're going to get to in building a moving sales machine, but it's important. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is decide on, your 2+1 or your 3-2-1. And if you aren't already using, if you don't have a system in place for follow-ups, don't go to the 3-2-1 right away. Start with the 2-1, because you'll be surprised. You may think, right now you might have a sales team and they're like, we need more leads, we need more leads, we need more leads, right? And they'll make you feel as though you need more leads, and they're working them all. You're like, yeah, but are you calling the leads I give you? Yeah, no, we're calling them. We need more. We need more. Implement the 2+1. Make sure everybody's doing it, right? Check in your CRM, check the phone system, make sure everybody's doing it. See if you still need more leads, okay? You'll start to find out that they're not working the leads the way that they should, right? And if they are, and if the 2+1 isn't enough and you feel like you can go more, then go 3-2-1. But what I would suggest before you go 3-2-1, and if I'm losing you here with the numbers, Go back and watch this video again. You have this for life. We talked about either a 2+1 or a 3-2-1 contact, okay? Instead of going 3-2-1, I would suggest bringing in more marketing, getting more leads, right? So get them contacted 2+1, and you're also gonna wanna wait until we talk about estimate follow-up, right? Because it's gonna, all the reps that are like, get more leads, get more leads, get more leads, are probably not spending the time they should following up with the people they've already estimated, all right? So right away, I would start with the 2+1, and definitely just be cautious of the team that you already have in place. I'm sure they're great people, but people don't like change. And if they're not watching this video with you, if they're not in this course with you, right? You have to, just be gentle as you're introducing these new processes, all right? And know for yourself there's going to be a little resistance and a little, pushback from your team. Well, you have to stay strong. Come back to this video. Remember why this is so important. Remember why you're doing this in the first place. In the foundation, we talked about your why. Like, why are you doing this? And it's just going to take time, and it's going to take a few steps to put into place. And you just have to realize that I'm not here to tell you this is a get rich quick, this is going to be an easy thing. This is going to require work. But you know what? You've been there before. When you started your business, I'm sure it required a lot of work. Every day now, I'm sure you put in a lot of work. You've probably tried new things or dealt with change, and I'm sure it was really tough, but you overcame it and realized that it was taking you down the right path. So if you're watching this, if you're in this course, there's a lot of people out there that didn't sign up for this course, right? But you did. So you're somebody that's committed to building a moving sales machine. Realize the steps are here. Take them step by step, Over the next couple weeks, it's all gonna start to come together, and you're gonna really start to see how it works like a machine, right? Just, take your time. Honestly, I honor you for doing this, and you're somebody like me who continuously learns and tries to find better ways to improve their business, and start putting it in place. I'm going to see you in the next video. This was lead follow-up, working the leads. Make sure you're working the leads. Go back, watch this again if you need to, download the worksheets, do the work. I'll see you in the next video.